The arrest happened in Houston and the feds arrested Joshua Cameron Isaiah, the guy who we know as Lil Cam, and bond release is not a possibility at this point. What's good, RIZZLE fam? You know, the cold-blooded killer who allegedly took Takeoff's life is finally behind bars, where he deserves to be, and he ain't going out anytime soon. In fact, if the Houston PD comes up with the evidence, he could be in for life. What we once suspected is now slowly turning out to be true. But how did Quavo react to Takeoff's suspect, who, don't forget, also clowned his death finally getting behind bars? In case you somehow missed what really went down, on the 1st of November this year, we witnessed yet another senseless slaughter that took the life of the Atlanta native rap artist Takeoff. Take was shot dead around 2:30 in the morning after leaving a private party that took place at Houston's 810 Billiards and Bowling. This is what the official police statement said about that awful night when we lost Takeoff.
We know this morning at about approximately 2:34 a.m., officers received a call of a shooting in progress. Officers arrived there shortly thereafter, the location. Once officers arrived, they came upon a male who was deceased. That male has been identified as Kersnick Ball, better known as Takeoff.
However, with such a high-profile case comes a lot of responsibility, and the cops know that they have to work quickly. Otherwise, there would be trouble and pressure would be coming in from everywhere. As it often happens with these types of cases, there's a lot of people involved. The cops didn't have any leads for quite some time. The matter of fact is, the police had a rough start at the beginning of their investigation because folks were reluctant to collaborate. People who saw something were afraid to come forward and make an official statement. Some didn't want to get involved because it's against the street code. Others are in fear for their own life. Naturally, that also means that the case will take longer because the police have to dig up everything by themselves, and that can take a long time. So much so that the people who are in pain can get impatient or angry. One such person is Quavo's sister, Takeoff's aunt, who wants to see justice served. She's sick and tired of waiting, so she went to her Instagram and posted this. "Find out who did this to my nephew, by any means." Well, it looks like Take's aunt can now take a breather, because there has been serious developments on her nephew's case, and we are seriously close to solving this entire mystery once and for all. Just a few days ago, news broke that one of the people who's been on our radar for a while now has been taken in custody. The person is none other than Lil Cam, also known to everyone who's been following this case as the guy in the yellow hoodie. It turns out that the yellow hoodie guy is in fact a convicted felon who's been caught slipping just a few days ago when he was arrested carrying a firearm, even though he's not allowed to have one on him. As soon as the news came in, some people couldn't help but be glad about this situation. One guy said, "Pack him up, lock that thug up." Now, for those of you who don't know who this guy is, he's basically one of J. Prince Jr.'s pawns. In other words, he works for mob ties. He's allegedly just a bodyguard, but we all know that his ties to the gang run deeper than that. As we mentioned already in some of our previous videos, Lil Cam has been a Migos hater ever since the Migos built a name for themselves in the rap game. He's been posting very suspicious stuff on his social media over and over again. He even sent out life threats and bragged about how he did the impossible. Basically, people were accusing him of snitching on himself and taking pride in the fact that he's a cold-blooded goon who took out a famous rapper. Why else would he be posting such stuff online just days after Take lost his life? Also remember that there is a witness of the incident who came forward and exposed the fact that nobody was allowed to have guns at that party other than the people who were there with J. Prince Jr. The only ones who could have done this were his people, nobody else. That also goes to show that Lil Cam was 100% J. Prince's dude, no doubt about it. Lil Cam was very quickly identified by people on the internet after TMZ released the footage of the incident that took place in front of the bowling arena. And as it turns out, the people who were convinced that Lil Cam was the one of the suspects in the incident could be right. Cam is very suspicious, and if you take a look at his history, he's very capable of doing this crime. You gotta admit that thing kinda checks out. This guy has a serious criminal record behind him. Even though he's only 22 years old, he acquired quite a rap sheet over the years. His resume includes charges of burglary, drug possession, and robbery. However, there's a catch. We have to be very careful here because, in reality, he was not arrested as a suspect in a homicide case. Cam is now in custody for having a firearm at the night of the shooting, even though he couldn't legally have one. The arrest happened in Houston and the feds arrested Joshua Cameron Isaiah, the guy who we know as Lil Cam, and bond release is not a possibility at this point. Now, the internet is going wild with all kinds of stories that they believe could be behind his arrest. Some firmly believe that Cam was arrested because the cops think he actually took Take's life. It's just just that they don't have enough evidence to slam him with a homicide charge, so they charged him with whatever they can until they get the sufficient evidence to keep him in for Takeoff's murder. They don't want to take any risks with a valid suspect fleeing or something similar, so they did everything that they can to keep him inside on any possible accounts, at least until they find out what really happened and accuse him with something more substantial. Some people who have been paying attention on YouTube believe that the murder charges are coming straight at Lil Cam. It's just a matter of time before it happens. One fan wrote, "Felony possession of a weapon means the person used a weapon during the commission of a felony. This means he is about to be charged with felony murder." Unfortunately, we cannot say that this case is over. Things can still be flipped upside down. We also have to take into account the fact that the story of Takeoff's murder runs a little deeper than it was on the surface. Being a J. Prunes Jr. man, some believe that Lil Cam may have done the crime, but he's not the one behind it all. Differently put, he was just following orders and someone else who wanted Take gone. Maybe it was J. Prince Jr. Maybe it was someone else from his label. That is the lesser known part, because these people who are behind the scenes pulling the strings, they move in silence and they don't show their faces in public. Then there's also other people who fired shots that night, and nobody other than Lil Cam has been taken into custody as of now. However, if it turns out that a bullet from someone else's gun actually took Take's life, you would have to assume that it was somehow connected to the mob ties. The likelihood of these people being involved in one way or another is extremely high, and only time will tell exactly how things went down that night and why would someone ever take the life of one of the most iconic artists of our time. Meanwhile, all that we've seen and heard from Quavo since Take passed is his speech at the Celebration of Life event that took place in Atlanta and the lengthy goodbye note that he posted on his Instagram. Nobody knows what his or Offset's next move is going to be, given that they weren't on good terms for the last 2 years. All that we can hope for is that they come together in this difficult time and keep a close relationship. They were probably the two people who spent the most time with Take and who knew him better than anyone else. Perhaps they will make an album or at least a track in order to pay homage to their brother, who is sadly no longer with us. But what do y'all think? Are mob ties behind the incident that cost the life of Take? Also, what do you think about Lil Cam? Is he being kept inside until they hit him with homicide charges? Let us know what you think all about it in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure to check this next one out. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button. And as always, remember to keep it RIZZLE.